Okay, so here we are, welcome back to another video. It's been about 1 week since I sent out the beta test and we've gotten some responses which I thought we were gonna go over in this video. So we're gonna be looking at all of the beta responses, like the feedback on bugs, etc. And you're also gonna be getting a little bit of a walkthrough of the app. After that, we're gonna put that into a Jira board where we can prioritize all the stuff, knowing that, okay, this is the stuff, the bugs that we need to fix before we can actually ship and release the app. So quite exciting, we're quite far along this app development journey. Without further ado, let's get right into the planning, looking through the bugs and adding the Jira tickets. Let's go. Alright, so here we are with the app, you know this view, but over here we got feedback in a couple of different places. So first of all, we have this form that we sent out, a little bit of a bleak response rate, but we'll look at those anyway. Over here we got the Jira board where we're gonna be adding all of these epics. Then we have App Store Connect where we have some feedback from one of my friends, and then we also have some Instagram feedback. So first of all, we're gonna go to Jira and we're gonna do release version. And here we're gonna add all of the beta fixes as well as some of the other features that we're gonna add prior to shipping the app. So we're gonna create a new epic in Jira and we're gonna go to the board. After that, we're gonna filter for release version of the app, and then we're gonna begin creating issues that we're gonna put in the backlog here. But so first of all, let's go through the form. Only 4 people answered, classic fashion. A lot of people sign up, but a lot of people don't give any feedback. I've also sent them reminders like 3 or 4 times, but oh well. First of all, how likely would you be to use software such as Arbster? 4 answers, all of them were 5, so I guess all of the people were Arbrists, so they said that they would be using the app, which is pretty good feedback. And then also, if you work as an Arborist or not, I guess 3 out of 4 people worked as an Arborist, and then 1 is probably one of my friends. And then how usable is the app? Quite a varied response. A lot of people were at the 4 or 5, thought it was quite useful. Then 1 person said no. And here I have a little bit of theory, because I don't think this person spoke English, and I think that was the main issue with the feedback here. You'll see in a little bit. But let's get to some of the feedback. When you're adding notes to the job page, there's a default text which does not disappear. So for example, let's log into the app, and so we can take some of these examples. We're gonna go ahead to the app and we're gonna sign in with Google, which I think is still a very nice feature that we have. And we're gonna press one of these jobs. So if I then press this text to, first of all, we're just gonna go device, and we're gonna go keyboard, and we're gonna do software keyboard. So I guess what happens here is when you press one of these, text, the default text doesn't disappear. So if you haven't edited the text, I guess we want this default text to disappear. So we're gonna add that as a Jira ticket. Very good. Okay, sweet. So that's a good first piece of feedback. And then it also says gear checklist lags when you're trying to add new equipment. It would be pretty nice if there was a possibility to add new equipment instead of having to go to another place in the app in order to add your equipment there. So I think they're referring to that there's some kind of glitch when you're adding new gear here. Maybe if we press plus, I think that works pretty well actually. I think maybe what they're referring to is the gear checklist. So right now in the gear checklist, in order to be able to add gear to this, you have to have it added already. So for example, I have to have this already in the app so that I can add it. Otherwise there's no possibility to add it. So maybe a possibility to add the gear that's not in your gear storage, and like you can have a press plus, so like pick from current gear or add other gear. Maybe that's a good idea actually. I'll put that one as the one on hold. Like that could be a potential future one, but I don't think it's gonna be high priority. Could be a low priority one for the future, but yeah, all in all, good feedback. Let's head back to the Google form. The gear is hard to add serial number and the photo and the date of first use. Okay, I guess this is something which is quite interesting, because yeah, of course it's going to be difficult to type in a full serial number. However, there's this button here which I think shows pretty clear that you can, and now we don't have access, since we're on Simulator we don't have access to it, but where you can add a serial number based on a QR code or a barcode. Maybe I can change that icon a little bit to make it more clear. Let's do that. Also, we're going to be filming an onboarding that's going to be part of the beginning of the app, so I think it's going to be more clear then. But we're going to clarify the QR code for serial number. Very good. Let's head back to the feedback. This is also in Norwegian, so if you add a text and then you forget about pressing go, then it will disappear and you have to start again. So I guess this is feedback on, for example, if I'm doing this, Samson for example, and then I press another place. I guess there it works, but I think there are some places in the app, for example the risk assessment. If I go to a risk assessment and I edit this one and I write for example Alex here. Alex is the team leader for this one, and then I press another one, that will disappear. So I think he means that if you're on a risk assessment, for example, and you write another name such as Alex, you need to press done for it to submit. So we kind of want to have both options, that you can press both done, but you can also press submit for it to update in the database. So we're gonna add that. And those things are called nodes, so focus nodes. So you have a focus node on a particular text field, and then we should add in some logic that when you unfocus that particular text node, it will also make an update to the database. So we're gonna do that. And I think this is something which we have in some parts of the app, like the job info, but I think it's a little bit inconsistent. So that's one of the things, so I need to check this in the whole app to make sure that it's consistent. This is another piece of feedback. There's a lot of double ways to get the different functions of the app. For example, if you want to check your subscription, you can go to account and find it there, but you can also go home and you can press top right corner in order to find it there. It feels like there's a lot of functions where you can get to in multiple ways, and it's confusing. This is one of the things, like this is one individual piece of feedback, and I think that it's actually easier to get to different things if you can get to it in multiple places. For example, if you can get to my account from going to there and then being there, or you can get to it from this page and it doesn't impact the performance of the app. I think that's just positive, if anything. So this is going to be one of the ones where I'm going to choose to ignore that piece of feedback, since it's just one piece of feedback and I don't really agree with it. So that's good. And then this is the person who I don't really think spoke English. The hitch I think is super cool. A browser where search and add to see tutorial. Again, I think I know what they mean. Maybe this could be a future feature where you can watch tutorials on the particular things, for example. But right now I don't think we're gonna have the capacity to produce a bunch of tutorials for this app, so we're gonna skip that. But all in all, do you think there are any features I'm missing? No real suggestions for new features, which I think is pretty good, that we've covered gear, risk assessment, safety, job planning, etc. Okay, this is another one. When you're filling in job details and you go all the way up to the bottom to fill in date, and job rate, etc., you can also fill in the location. But if you press on this location, you're taken to the map. And that's a little bit confusing because you can fill out all the other info. So I guess this is a really good feedback. For example, if I press this, I can change the time quite easily. I can also change the date. However, if I press this, I'm taken to the map. I guess that's not really expected behavior. So I think that's a good piece of feedback that we're gonna have to change, for example. So change the location logic and how you can get to the map. Maybe we'll add a feature so that you can get to the map from this button instead. You have to press the buttons here to do opening Google Maps, for example. Maybe that will be better, and then this will just be edit. Same with this one here. Yeah, good feedback from that one. And see here what kind of feedback we have. Overall, very good, good job. It's fun to see how your projects are developing. Blah blah blah. So just positive feedback and some nice words from my friend. Really appreciate that. And then this is the same person I think left the 1, and I think they don't really got the and like this is a little bit critical to say this. And this is not the approach you should have on beta testing. You shouldn't really like discard feedback from users. However, I do think that it feels as if this person hasn't really understood the app properly, potentially due to a language barrier, primarily because everyone else understood the app and everyone else has said that it's relatively clear how you use the app. So I'm going to choose to ignore this for now. Then another one, it should go to European time, and also you should be able to change your currency. Okay, this is good feedback. For example, right now the job rate is always in Swedish crowns, and if we're going to have an international audience, we need to be able to choose the currency that you work in. So we're going to make that a feature. And then in regards to time, I think what they're referring to is the fact that it says PM, AM, and you know in Europe we use like 16:00 for 4 o'clock, and in the US and in other places you use AM, PM. But I think most people in Europe will be able to make sense of this, and I don't think most people in the US will be able to make sense of 16 or whatever. Maybe we can do this to be based on location, for example. I can create this as an on-hold low priority issue. But for now, I don't think we should be prioritizing. But all in all, that's all the feedback that we got from the Google form, so quite good. Then we have some feedback here. By the way, the app is not transferring all info from the risk assessment to the PDF, which makes it a bit pointless. Yeah, no shit. And the information disappears from the fields of the first page. And I think this is regarding the same issue that we just touched upon. So for example, if you think that you're editing this, and I'm writing here Herman, for example, like so, and then I press another one, that won't update. And I think that's what he's referring to. So we've already covered that with the ticket in regards to field. And then all over here there was some other stuff, like you can have a lot of improvement for the format, etc. Different users are gonna have different needs. Maybe we make that customizable in the future, but I think we're covering that to some degree by allowing for and we have a whole section of like other risks. And if you click one of this, you can add your own measure taken, for example. So we're kind of covering that, and also we can add other comments, etc. So I think for now we're gonna leave the format of the risk assessment. But other than that, the feedback was really good in regards to being able to submit all of the fields. Also, I just thought of now we're gonna add so that we're able to add photos to the risk assessment. Like this is just gonna be a bank of like 6 to 8 photos that you're able to upload if you have like particular things that are riskful, or if you want to take photos of like a fence, for example, because in this types of job, like sometimes you can ruin a fence or break a fence, or like some other piece of equipment on the property, and sometimes that's broken beforehand. So you know how you rent a car, sometimes you take pictures of the scratches, etc. We're gonna kind of add a similar feature to that, where you can take pictures of some things in the surrounding area, so that if there were anything to go wrong with the customer and they were to accuse you of breaking anything, you can just show them those pictures prior to the risk assessment taking place. So we're gonna add photos to risk assessment. That's gonna be a big one. But yeah, that was the feedback from Instagram. Then from App Connect, we got a lot of specific feedback, which is fantastic. So we're gonna take them in order. So first of all, on the first side, you can't swipe up or down when the keyboard is up. So it's kind of hindering you from viewing the entire thing. So let's go here quickly and let's sign out of the app. So I guess if you press login and you press this, yeah, you can't swipe, for example. And I guess it's not really a problem when you're logging in. But I guess also if you're signing up, for example, there's a lot of text fields, so it looks a little bit ugly. So maybe we can add so that yeah, better layout for login and sign up in regards to the keyboard. This is a very raw video, by the way. Like this is me just taking you through the entire process of how I would do this, even if I wasn't recording. So hopefully it is relatively interesting and insightful if you're trying to do this yourself. Then we have another one. The text boxes here, you don't really get which name you're writing in. I.e., it would be nice if it was automatically capitalized. Okay, so that's a good feedback. That's a good like minor piece of detail, but auto capitalize names. That's a good one. Next one. In these 3 felts, for example, when you're pressing default text, it doesn't disappear when you click on it. This is the same feedback that we got from the other person, and we got it here. So I think we called it, yeah, text should be updated when a focus node is unfocused, but also make sure that the filler text that is unedited is removed upon pressing. So when I go into one of these that already exists, for example, like a job description, I should also be removing the text. So if I press that, I should be removing the text, which we're not really doing right now. So that's a good piece of feedback too. Let's hop on over to the next one. Same here with location. It says if I press the location, I should be able to just remove all of it at the same time. So maybe add some kind of logic where if it's empty, then we display the sample text, and then as soon as it's edited or on press, we delete the sample text and create a new one if the current text is where the job is, or one of those sample text. I think that's quite easy to fix. Next one is gear checklist. I think this is a misunderstanding, so I guess because if you don't have any gear in your gear checklist, there will be nothing to add. So maybe add like a little notice here that says you have no gear in your inventory. Add some gear to be able to select for a checklist. So like so. These 2 arrows to left and right are not really working. I think this is an interesting take, because you can actually here you can swipe, works quite well, but you can't press the arrows because that gives you this error. So we need to, yeah, there's some kind of bug with the arrows, so we need to fix the arrows themselves, and I think this is in the jobs page. Yeah, so we're gonna make arrows in jobs page like so. Perfect. Heading back, more feedback. And also it would be nice if the calendar at the bottom was ready to swipe past the week. So if I wanted to move on to the next week, I could also do that if I swipe the whole thing. That's really a great idea, actually. I think that's also going to be one of the lower priority ones, because that's more aesthetic. It's not really the function of the app. But we're going to make home page like that, so you can swipe it for more than 1 week. So for example, if I'm on the home page here, I'm able to not just go to Wednesday, but maybe I can go a week further, for example. You can do that in the calendar, of course, but I guess it would be neat to have it in the home page too. So good feedback. And then also here in the calendar, if you swipe down on the job and you only have 1 job, for example, then there's a little bit of a glitch. As you can see here, it kind of hides it. But shrink wrap so that you can actually, this will take as much space as possible, and right now it's just taking the minimum space possible. So yeah, that's one of the things we need to change, and that's why it looks like this. Moving on, when I was logging in to the app, it was glitching, and then you had to restart the app. This is something which happens with Google. For example, if we do this 2 times, and this is quite interesting. If we try to sign in with Google 1 time and we press cancel, it will do that, like a little glitch. If you do it 1 more time, it won't take you to it. So at that point in time, you need to actually restart the app, like so, and then you need to log in again, and then it will work. But so I think we need to add some kind of like error management when signing with Google, like if you cancel it, for example, because it's the Google sign-in that cancels it. Perfect. I don't think that applies to Apple. However, I don't think Apple is really set up yet. So for example, if we go to login and we press Apple, we get this error, like there's no authorization. I'm not sure if I need to set up anything in the backend, but that's also something we need to do. Then we need to fix. Perfect. Moving on. We then have date of birth. It would have been nice if there was a date picker in the date of birth instead of having to write a text. So for example, now if we sign into the app again and we go to the health details, which is quite a nice addition, I think. Maybe we should make some way to access it as well. But if we go to safety module, my health information, and this is actually a text where it takes a date, but it's a text. So it would be nice if we have a date picker. So let's do that. Perfect, so that you can actually have the same as we have for the jobs, for example, where you can press this and you can scroll instead of having to write it in, which makes it a little bit easier, I think. Moving on, I think we have more feedback even. And then this is just formatting. This is like, I think it's saying that there should be a question mark instead of a dot. Very specific feedback. I love how clear and specific this is. So it's going to be delete the job with question mark. I'll understand these, I can specify them later if I want to, but now I'm just going through them relatively quickly. And then here, when you're in create a new job, I think there will be a nice way to have a cancel or save button so that you don't have to create a job straight away. Like, for example, okay, I'll show you what it means. So if I go to jobs and I press plus, I've added the new job. Like, there's no way for me to cancel this job now exists. I can delete that job quite easily, but it's still been created. So I think it works. Like, it's not a massive hurdle, I think, but I'm gonna add it as on hold, like a lower priority issue to fix. So, new job. I think that would be quite a nice feature, but also nice to have and not a must-have. And then here, when you've chosen your picture, it takes a little while for it to load, so it would be nice if there was some kind of loading symbol. So let's add that. That's a really good piece of feedback. Let me show you what it means. If you press this and you press edit images and you add a new one, for example, and you pick that one, you see right now it's uploading that picture, but it's not really showing you any loading. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna add a loading indicator. Perfect. And then we're gonna head over to, and that's gonna apply to all, like if you're uploading a gear picture or if you're uploading your profile picture, whatever, it's gonna apply to all of them. Moving on to the next one. Okay, on the gear checklist you can press both the arrow and the text, but you can't do that for risk assessment, for example. Okay, so if you press gear checklist, the text, I'm taken to a gear checklist. Then press the text on risk assessment, I'm not taken there. If I press job status, I'm not taken to change it. So that's perfect feedback. We need to pickers on job page need same UX. Text and arrow pressable. I'm not sure if that's a word. If it is, if it isn't, I just made it up. Perfect. And moving on to the next one. This one's potentially called that, but oh, typo in the risk assessment for sauce. Damn, so specific. I love it. Like so. Perfect. I think there's more even. Nice. If you press see all in the home page, you're taken to all jobs. But right now you should be taken to all jobs. But right now you're taken to the job that you were last on. So for example, if I'm on this job page and I'm on cancel jobs. If I then go to see all, I'm taken to cancel jobs. This one should then redirect you to all jobs because that's what you're pressing. So we're gonna do see all jobs on the home page should page. Perfect. Also great feedback, like relatively minor detail, but it will contribute to the overall experience. Okay, perfect. Yeah, that was actually all feedback from. We have had 21 testers. We've had 0 crashes, which I think is good. I mean, there's probably been some glitches, but that's not really reported as a crash. A crash is when the app just stops responding and has to shut down. We've had none of that, but we've definitely had glitches, as some people have provided info on. But yeah, with that said, that's pretty much it for for the feedback that we had, and I think we've had quite some active users. You can see here in the usage on the Firestore database. If we go to this, for example, we can then extend this to, for example, last 30 days. I think we've had a couple of days like this, for example. This was when I sent out the test, so it seems like we had a lot of testers, 56 different snapshot listeners. So yeah, we've had definitely quite a few testers, which I think was very good, and we're not really close to the cost at all. And again, this billing is really cheap. So we've added all of those things. If I think of more stuff, I'm gonna add it later, but we're also gonna add payments. So for that, we're gonna use something called Revenue Cat, which is what I've used before. It's like in-app subscriptions where you can add it to Flutter, for example, in order to integrate with Apple and Google payments. So it makes it really easy to take payments on both Android and iOS, which is always a little bit complicated since the code is quite different for managing native payments. But this makes it quite easy to work with that. So we're gonna add that as a page. We're gonna do add. That's all. So we have around 24 tickets that are must, and we have 3 that are nice to do. I guess this is definitely gonna be more stuff later. But so what we're gonna do then is we're gonna go to the roadmap, and then this actually we achieved prior to when we thought we were going to, so that's really nice. And then we're gonna start this sprint this weekend, and we're gonna try to extend it to mid-February. After that, we're gonna do a quick test, and then we're gonna aim to release the app. And then there's gonna be some other stuff, like we need to, I think I have this here, we need to build a website, we need to add legalese, for example, like user terms and agreements and all that. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for this video. You saw a whole walkthrough of the beta test, kind of all the feedback that we got, how I, as a developer, I guess if I can call myself that, I call myself Flutter engineer in that video that I made, really proud of that. And that is how I would go through beta test feedback, add it to like a prioritization thing, or schedule it or whatever, and then begin working on those issues. So I would then go into my Jira, I would pick one of the issues, I will identify, okay, what is this issue? I will fix it, and then I will call that done. And then as I've done that for all of those issues that I raised now, then we will call this development sprint done, and then we'll be able to release the app. In the next coming videos, we're going to be adding payments, we're going to be fixing this, we're going to be commenting out the code, because we have a lot of like errors just for like how I've typed stuff, typos, etc. in the code, which it kind of indicates. And then we're also going to comment out the code so that I can easily go back to it later on, because usually it's like this: you work a lot on the app right now, then you release it, and you don't work on it for like 2 or 3 months because you're doing marketing, for example. And then if you come back later without having worked on it, a little bit unclear what all the things do. That's the plan. If you want to keep following along this series, I think this is episode like 64, 65. 64 maybe, then please leave a like down below, subscribe so you can continue watching these videos, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.